This video will cover section 5.1, Math 1324, example 4, 5, and hopefully 6. So, for this problem, we're going to use the same formula that we used previously for simple interest. And we have here that Sally borrows $15,000 and is required to pay this much in 4 months to pay off the loan and interest. So now the question is, what is the simple interest rate? So what we're looking for here is, what is R? So what we're going to do first is analyze our quantities. So the present value, which she borrowed initially, is $15,000. The future value, what she will pay at the end, including the interest, is $15,315. And we also know that the time is 4 months, so 4 out of 12, because remember, time, the units for time need to be in years. So we could turn that into 1/3 after simplifying it. And so now what we're going to do is use that formula that we used previously. So it is future value is equal to the present value, parentheses 1 plus RT. Now, what we're solving for, it's R. But before we solve for R, we're just going to substitute our quantities. So future value we have here, 15,315. Then we have the present value, which is 15,000. Then we have 1 plus R, and for time we have 1/3. So what we're going to do next is try to solve for R right here. So the first thing to do is you notice how the 15,000 is multiplying everything inside the parentheses here. So I'm going to take that quantity across. It will do the inverse operation. So in this case, it's going to be dividing. And we're not actually going to divide it. We're just going to leave it like that. So now on the right side, we have 1 plus, and I'm just going to say 1/3 of R, because that will be the same as that multiplication is commutative. So in fact, I could just choose to not have my parentheses anymore because I don't need them. And what I can do here is take this fraction, 15,315, divided by 15,000. And then I'm going to take this positive 1 to the other side. So it will be doing the inverse operation. So minus 1. And that is equal to 1/3 R. Or I could say this. If we multiply 1/3 times R, we will get R divided by 3. So this R divided by 3, remember we are solving for R. And so the only thing that is on our way now is the division by 3. So what we need to do is consider that is dividing R. Once we move that across our equal sign, it will turn into the inverse operation, which will be division. So we could actually write it this way. Still our fraction. And then minus 1. All of that is going to be divided by 3. And so to enter something like this on the calculator, it might be a little confusing at first, but I do need you guys to get used to it. And remember, here we are solving for R. So you will enter a parentheses to take the place of the bracket. Then you have to enter a parentheses to enclose the numerator. And then you have to enter a parentheses just for our fraction, 15,315, division divided by 15,000. And then you close the parentheses because that is a fraction. And then outside of the fraction, we need the -1. Then we need to enclose the numerator. And then we're going to use the division symbol. And then we need the number 3. And then we need to close with another parenthesis to enclose the bracket. So if you do that correctly, you should be getting something like 0.063. Now, if we translate that into a percentage, it will be 6.3%. And so that is a way that you can solve for R. Now, if I had just taken the formula from here and solved for R, it would have been the following. The future value divided by the present value minus 1, and then all of that divided by time, and that will equal R, but only for simple interest. So feel free to use that when you're doing your homework. Now we're going to find, we have another formula, but it's actually just a variation of the same formula that we've been using to find the future value. And so that formula starts like this. Future value is equal to the present value times 1 plus R over T. Now, if you consider what everything inside the parentheses is doing to the present value, you know it's multiplying. So if we just take that whole quantity across to the left side of the equal sign, it's going to change to the inverse operation, and so that will be division. So future value divided by 1 plus RT is equal to the present value that we have here. And so that is the same formula that we have inside that box. However, present value is on the left side. It doesn't matter. It is the same. And the formula here does not have 1 plus RT in parentheses. However, when you enter that on the calculator, I do strongly recommend that you use parentheses so that you keep your denominator together. So now we're going to use this formula. And for this exam, you will be able to have a formula sheet, and you can write explanations of what the formula is for, the name of the formula, and what each variable represents. So we have find the present value, so that is our question, of $32,000. So that was the future value. In 4 months, so our time is in months, not in years, so it's 4 over 12, or we could say 1/3 as well. And the rate is right here, 9% interest, so remember we have to divide by 100, so it's 0.09. Now we're finding the present value, so we're going to use future value divided by 1 plus RT. And remember, we're going to keep this in parentheses. So after substituting, we will have 32,000 divided by 1 plus the rate, 0.09. And this will be times 1/3. And then we close the parentheses again. So remember, this parentheses and this parentheses are to enclose the denominator in this case. And of course, the fraction, you could just use the division key. So after entering that on your calculator, you should get something such as 31,067 with 96 cents. And so remember, the future value is higher, right? Slightly higher. Present value was that. So this is what was invested at a 9% interest for 4 months. So from $67.96, it grew to $32,000. Now let's work on problem 6. And so problem 6 is talking about a court settlement. It says, because of a court settlement, Jolinda owes $5,000 to Madison. The money must be paid in 10 months with no interest. And suppose that Jolinda wants to pay the money today. So here we're going to be talking about two cases. One of them will be with the present value at 5,000. I'm sorry, the future value at 5,000. And we're going to have the rate actually here. And I'm sorry, this is not the one with two cases. The rate will be at 0.05. And the time is going to be 10 months. So that would be 10 over 12 or 5 over 6. So suppose Jolinda wants to pay the money today and that Madison can invest it at an annual rate of 5%. What amount should Madison be willing to accept to settle the debt? So, okay, yeah, these are the two cases that I was referring to. Case 1 is that Madison pays $5,000 in 10 months. So imagine that you have 10 payments of $500 each. But because time equals money, and here we're talking about 10 months, right? The other option is that Jolinda pays a certain amount of money. We don't know what it is, but she pays it now. But because she's paying it now, and Madison is the one who will be investing the money so that he could get $5,000 in 6 months. I'm sorry, in 10 months. So if he chooses to do that, he has two options. Either he could take his cash right now and spend it, or he could invest it and make it grow into 5,000. So this is kind of like buying a home that has certain price, but when you pay cash for it, you could actually ask for a reduction in the price. And so it's similar to that situation. So this will be the case 2, finding what is that present value. So present value, we have future value divided by 1 plus RT. And so if we substitute, we have here, we want that money to grow to 5,000. 1 plus 0.05 times 5 over 6. And remember, when you enter this on your calculator, the denominator must be enclosed in parentheses. And so from there, we will get that the present value is $4,800. So that will be the option for case 2. That Jolinda pays that right now. And then Madison decides if he or she will spend that money now or make it grow into $5,000 after 10 months. So this concludes the example number 6.